What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching. If you have not signed up for FranCamp, please do so. Go to 1851francamp.com. You're going to learn today why you should sign up, as well as sales stories. So, Sal, I'm just going to tee this off to you. What's your backstory? How did you accidentally fall into franchising?
So I've been in the bounce house rental, inflatable rental world for over 22 years. It's a job I started in high school. We grew our bounce house business to the largest in the country, and I wanted to further expand it. We currently service about 110 towns in Massachusetts, and I wanted to expand the footprint. I had thought about potentially opening up some additional outlets, but when I did a deep dive into the capital required to open these in other states, I didn't think it was the best move for the company. I started doing some research on franchising, and I think it's the fastest way and most efficient way to scale our business.
No, you're muted, Charles. Try again. Oh, it's so. I mean, it's kind of pleasant when you're muted, but you can't even react. All right, I'm gonna continue with the questions. Usually it's your turn, but now it's my turn still. So take me through that process of deciding. So you decide that you want to franchise your business. Take me through the process that you went through of actually becoming a franchise. How did you research it?
Sure.
Get me up to today.
Yeah, I had the idea. I want to say over 10 years ago. I had watched several other brands franchise and have great success. One of them that sticks in my mind to this day is Two Men in a Truck. Very similar in the sense that it's a delivery business, similar to our inflatable business. I had inquired with them about their franchise program, got some information on it. And like I said, this was over 10 years ago, and the space has evolved and changed, and technology has really played a huge part in scaling a lot of franchises. A friend of mine who lives close to me in Massachusetts, Barry McMenamin, actually franchised his father's locksmith business. And the name of the company is Flying Locksmith. Long story short, he has had great success with it, has over 95 locations in the country currently. Started franchising, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago. I met with him, spoke to him about his experience, then started doing some research on franchise attorney. Was lucky enough to actually watch you and Charles on many podcasts, and I connected. I thought, I liked Charles' message, I liked your message, and I said to myself, let me reach out to Nicola. I'd interviewed a couple other law firms, didn't feel that they were the right fit for us on this journey, and Charles' team made a very easy process to get the legal started. Probably took us about 6 months, Charles, start to finish, to get the FDD up and running and complete, I would say. About 6 months.
Yeah, you guys could hear me now, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
It was a glitch. Yeah, no, it was about that. But I'm going to give some backstory here, because this gets to FranCamp and the essence of FranCamp, but
Sure.
Also entrepreneurship, becoming a franchisor and doing it right. So, Sal, I may say nice things about you now, but I don't want to be saying this in front of you, but if you look at how FranCamp's intersecting, Sal and his team, the things that strike me is, number one, Sal has an amazing team, dedicated and brilliant team, small, hardcore team. Two, as we approach the franchise process, what I love about what Sal and his team did is they didn't just sit back and say, you're the expert, which no one, and we're just going to rely on you. Is a very interactive process of like understanding the business, working together. So along the way, as we're developing the franchise system, Sal and his team, they're doubling their knowledge like every month in terms of the franchise space. Then let's take another factor that comes into play, which is so many new franchisors out there or existing franchisors. They're in the franchise space. They're not achieving franchise sales. They're not advancing their brand. And Nick, you know this. I mean, we had FranCamp in Miami. Sal isn't even a franchisor yet, and he's at FranCamp Miami. Collaborating, meeting other franchisors, networking. What does that do? We come back, recalibrate numbers. And now, busy bee jumpers, if I'm looking at a brand like this and Sal's done the hard work, I'm looking at, you have a legitimate team that can support you. You have a legitimate team that's KPI focused, data driven, customer service driven. You have a business model that you have your inflatable inventory, but other than that, you have a low overhead business where it's really turned into a great income producing opportunity. So, for me, connecting the dots and where I feel great is working with people like Sal and his team. There are clients, but meeting face to face at FranCamp, and then years from now, Sal, I will want to take some credit for the success, but it doesn't belong to me. It's you guys. And the fact that you're already advancing your knowledge through meeting other franchisors says a lot about you. Yeah, Nick, if you go back up to the team, I mean, the heart of Sal's not, it's his team. That's really the superpower there. But
Yeah.
amazing. And before this, too, Sal's talking about what franchise conference he may be going in terms of a broker group presenting at the group. So not only are we franchising, but the game plan's in place. We're already thinking 6-12 months ahead. I feel like, at least FranCamp added that context and value to unlock Sal and his team.
So when you're going through this, I mean, like you can see it in the video, you built a very successful business. Why not? What changed your mind from just growing corporately, or why did you decide that franchising made sense? Obviously, I hear the success stories of people that you've watched, but you've built a great business.
Yeah. One thing, being based out of Boston, we're somewhat limited because our season is roughly 6 months. We operate fast from May through the end of October. So what I thought about is if I could build a business that is scalable, that I can put a blueprint together, that these warm weather climates, as I push down the eastern seaboard into the Carolinas, down to Florida, out to Texas, they could have a ton of success in 10 to 12 months. I have a software provider, Event Rental Systems, that manages all of our inventory, client communication, and vehicle tracking systems. And they had spoke to me about the growth that we had experienced over the last 10 years, and being their largest client and only operating 6 months a year, we had spoke at length about how we could scale this, whether it is open to other corporate locations or the potential of franchising. And I believe that this model, now that we've implemented a ton of technology, Charles is always talking about market economics, but one of the big focuses we had this year was improving our numbers, improving our margins. And we had our best year financially ever, which I think that this fragmented market of inflatable rentals is poised to take a blueprint that has customer service focused, product focused, technology focused, with an e-commerce website. And I believe that the ceiling is extremely high. I believe that we can get 10 to 15 franchises open by the end of 2025, and then from there really start to run with this.
I think, and I love that answer. I think when we're thinking about the journey on FranCamp too, and part of what you said, Charles, I think this is important to call out. It doesn't matter whether you have 1 unit or you have 1,000 units. Everybody is running into the same issue, and the issue ends up being foundation. And so, like, if I look at sales business, I actually think the foundation is stronger than some of the brands that have come to FranCamp that have much larger scale. But it's partly because the time and energy was spent developing systems, processes, and model first.
Yeah, I would say personally that is our recipe for success. We've had year after year growth every single year we've been in business, and with stronger margins than ever now that we've implemented a lot of technology, especially our client communication, vehicle tracking systems. This is what I believe is going to really help these new franchisees as they buy into our system. We're going to show them exactly what inventory to buy, how to market these pieces. We had the conversation when we were going to golf, Nick, which I found interesting, that not every person at FranCamp was fully aware of what their cost of acquisition for a client was. We actually laid out our marketing budget about 60 days ago for 2025, and I've increased it significantly because I feel that not only can we grow our franchise system with sales, but also our corporate market here in Boston. And after having a company come in, dissect our numbers, tell us what our cost of acquisition per client is, and then our overall value of that client. It's a no-brainer to me to double down and reinvest back into our corporate location.
That was, and we were driving to the golf course, which when we were talking about, I think Nick started the conversation about what is the cost of client acquisition, right? And candidly, I cannot tell you that for our firm. I mean, we had our level 10 annual meeting, but what blew me away is you're sitting there and you're rattling off numbers like it was science, which I thought that was eye-opening. And also for other franchisors there that were at different stages of the journey, really calibrating those numbers. Sal, in terms of, I mean, this is technically a FranCamp video, but this is really about Busy Bee. But
Yeah.
Your journey as an entrepreneur, because I don't know if I'm entering the franchise world or any industry, I'm not sure I would have came to Miami to a conference as quickly as you did. What's your thought behind that?
So, I've been blessed in my life with some amazing mentors. I had a business partner with Busy Bee Jumpers for over 20 years. And the man was amazing at guiding me on my path. I joined a business with him, right after college at 23 years old. Jim, my business partner at Busy Bee at the time, was instrumental in guiding me along the way. Now that he has exited and semi-retired, he's a very successful man, very entrepreneurial man, has worked very, very hard. He's older than I am. He wanted to semi-retire. I felt that I needed to unlock a new stage of mentors in my life. And to be honest, Charles, I look at you as a mentor, and Nick, you as well. So my thought process behind bringing Mickey, who is my understudy and one of my close friends, to Miami was to network and potentially find some new mentors. I can tell you the conversation I had with Mark from Edible was so eye-opening and instrumental in the path that we're choosing for 2025. Sitting down with Carl from Crust Pizza, sitting down with Jared from My Place at Home. Those guys have been franchisors for a long time with a lot of experience. And the conversations I was having with them, speaking to your partner Brian, was amazing when we were golfing that day. It was just a very eye-opening couple of days for me. I really enjoyed it, and that's why I'm looking forward to go to Dallas to continue networking, growing those relationships.
I just want to let the record state, Sal, that you said your mentors are much older than you, and then you said Charles is your mentor. So I just want.
They said you too, Nick.
No, I was far down the list though.
He said you.
No. I mean, I want to make that clear.
I just self-edited myself. I was going to make another comment, but realize we're on live.
We're alive.
And just to, if I could add to that, by speaking to you, Charles, on different calls as we were working through the legal components of the franchise documents, you've worked and currently are working with some major brands. So you have a lot of experience in this space. You've seen brands scale from one location to, we'll talk about Edible, right? They have over 750 locations currently. That's a mega brand that's known all around the country. So for me to be able to start having conversations with people that have seen the bigger picture, the macro level of the franchise world is invaluable to me.
Well, I want to make a point though on that, Sal. And this is part of what we're trying to do with FranCamp. I think your insights to an Edible are equally as valuable as Edible insights to you. Because the reality is every franchise brand and every supplier that's there has an objective of growth.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And growth is in franchising, we're trying to convince someone to invest their life savings into a business they have little to no control over. That's a very complex thing to sell.
Right. Yep.
And so when you're sitting in that room, the reality is, as much as you give credit to your mentors in franchising, they're going to give credit to you because your viewpoint on foundation and technology and cost of customer acquisition, which Charles said he's working on now. That's the beauty of it is a good campfire has stories coming from everyone. And I think that's, as dorky as that might sound, I think your value back to everybody else was equal. It doesn't matter if you're a franchise for one day or a million. It's still invaluable.
For me, Sal, what I appreciate is everyone worked hard. and then we had a good time, networking. And for me, I have to say this, I think it's the first time we met in person, and you were so gracious. And so that feels really good when you get to meet our clients in person. So there was definitely, I thought it was a phenomenal event. We had a lot of good times there.
It was very well run.
What have you put in place since you've left FranCamp?
So a couple things that stick in my mind that are like daily motivators for me. I would say first and most important is fine tuning our story. I think that Charles has spoke about some of his clients that put a lot of emphasis on their story, and at the end of the day, the story is what is going to sell the franchise system. So for us at Busy Bee, we are fine tuning that story, really doing our best to get as creative as possible to tell the story how, at the end of the day, I came into this business right out of high school. It's all I've ever done, and it's provided me and my family an amazing lifestyle, but also a quality of life that a lot of people yearn for and want for, and people that are possibly leaving the corporate world, are looking for that flexibility of schedule to own their own business, that pride of ownership. So crafting our story is number one on my list. And then the second one that is just going to be forever something we're working on is just the market economics. Is how can we continue to improve our margins year after year? Because growing to a certain revenue point, there's a ton of top line revenue there, but how do we find the inefficiencies along the way to increase that bottom line number? And like I said, we had a fantastic year last year by implementing some new technology, which really honed in on some efficiencies and really eliminated some inefficiencies, especially client communication. But those market economics for me are going to tie into that story that I'm going to tell a potential franchisee looking to invest in a business such as ours, which is really fresh to market, kind of new. I don't know of any other bounce house businesses or inflatable businesses that are currently franchising. So for us, I want to make sure that story is very linear, very compelling, and gets people to want to know more and learn more about the system.
Out of curiosity, are you saying that you are you disclosing that you have 5 locations in the FDD then?
We actually have 13 company owned, servicing 110 towns in Massachusetts. The way we dissected it with Charles teams is 13 territories.
And so that's a greater Boston is where the bulk of those are in the way that you're listing on your website?
Exactly. Yep.
What are you going to say the initial investment is?
It's 160,000 to upwards of just north of 400,000. Top end 400,000. That's going to include your full inventory package, trucks to start your business, leasing a warehouse space, grand opening marketing campaign, soup to nuts, 400,000.
And what are you putting item 19 in there?
Item 19 is published, correct.
What is the average unit volume?
Our top 5 producing locations are producing upwards of $1 million each.
And how long have those been open?
Our largest corporate-owned location has been open for 25 years. And it's producing $1.6 million in revenue.
And
on 400,000 people.
Not to interrupt, guys, just legally, anyone watching, go check out Busy Bee, but look at the FDD. It's not a sales rep.
I like that. That's why Charles is on here. I mean, the way that I mean, from my viewpoint, because I think, and this is me providing two cents. And for full disclosure, Sale doesn't pay me a penny, so this is all unmotivated comments. I think right now your position is minimum cash required. I would actually like to find the right operator. I would almost find someone that could automatically out of the gates open 3 of these, because I'm looking at the infrastructure that you put in place. Not that doesn't mean you don't say no to a hustler that has a little bit less capital, but if I think about $1.2 million investment into this, what could that potentially do to the business right out of the gates versus going slower in?
Yeah, we've actually spoken. We hired a franchise consultant that has been working with Charles's team. And multi-territory operators are like exactly what we hope to find to buy that 2, 3, 4 territories. We have a projection, in 3 years that we can really ramp them up and make them highly profitable. It's a very niche market, high margin industry, and we've got a really good blueprint to sell to them and help coach them through.
On the higher end, out of 400, how much of that is going towards inventory?
Just shy of 200,000.
And that gives enough variety, I assume, that the
Right.
customer can have some sort of, so it won't be your variety.
It's going to be pretty close to what we offer. So one of the things that we have found to really improve our margins is we have a very, very streamlined inventory system. And one of the things that we did that I believe really perfected our model was when COVID hit, certain large events got taken away from us. So we were able to actually reverse engineer all of our profit margins for different product categories. We saw certain categories that we were operating in that had very low margin. They're really like sexy piece of equipment that everybody in our industry really strives to own. They were high cost, low margin products. We liquidated those in and post COVID, really focused on our high margin winners, and that really transformed our business tremendously.
I mean, I know when Charles goes down one of those slides when he's by himself, he says cowabunga. What do you say when you go down the slides?
I'm too big for those things. I let my 3-year-old daughter go down them daily in the spring and summer months, but I don't get on them.
I mean, I personally still love them. Like, I look at that, I'm like, all I want to do is run around and jump on every bouncy thing that you have.
Yeah, no, they're fun. What we found is our target market is the children that are ages 3 to 12, but we've also found that high schools and colleges are renting these for end of school year events and back to school year events. We're doing some really large college events as of late. We've partnered. Boston is a hotbed for colleges and universities. We've partnered with dozens of them, and they've really helped our business tremendously.
Right. Charles, closing thoughts?
No, I was just looking at the item 19. On the Busy Bee front, it's an interesting business model because you're in a space now where this business can be fit a income replacement or legacy building opportunity when done right. One, two, it really comes down to team. And, it's working with Sal and his team and then meeting at FranCamp, and you really see the dedication. For me, that's the fun part of the journey, which is there's different stages. We'll hopefully be at a nice dinner 4 years from now talking about this video, but which gets the other point of FranCamp, which is I know we've put a ton of time into it, but makes me feel like it's all worth it. These
Absolutely.
Conversations and where we're going. And so I appreciate that. You're a very gracious person. I mean, it's really, really, this makes it feel good because sometimes I'm like, we're working on these workbooks and all this. Yeah. But it's fun. And for me, on the client level, it's always like, how do we connect the dots for our clients?
Yeah.
Nick, I gave you not an answer. I'm sorry, Sal.
That's okay. But I was just going to say, I very much appreciated sitting in the room with all the veterans, gentlemen that own, whether it be 10 locations or 50 locations, some even more, 80, 90 locations. It was really interesting hearing their stories of how they got to the certain chapter that they're in, the successes they've had, but also some of the setbacks they've had and things to be aware of. I gathered in 2 days just a wealth of knowledge, and I look forward to attending more of these FranCamps and continuing to learn.
I'm gonna close with this comment, and it's such a simple story, but it means a lot, whether done on purpose. We went up to the bar to order drinks, and in the history of me being a supplier, I could probably count on the amount of times on one hand how many times someone has said, "Oh, I got this." It's always Nick has it, and Sal goes, "Hey, can I pick up this round?" He's like, the value here, like, I feel like I owe you more. It was the kindest effort that I've seen out of a human at one of these, where it just obviously, and it's not wrong to just expect Charles and I to pay for everything. That little thing, like when you're trying to find the intangibles, when you're going to invest your life savings into a business, those are the intangibles that are really hard to see online. They're sometimes really hard to see in a discovery day because you're on defense because you're playing a little bit coy. But that intangible alone, it doesn't matter what you're selling, Sal. I would be bought in, just built on the personality of what's the DNA, the construct behind the human. You could say, I'm going to go into picking up dog shit at people's houses. I'd be like, that business is going to work because of who's involved in it. And obviously you've clearly the numbers, you've engineered a great business, but that intangible is why I would bet on you. Not because you paid, but just the forefront to say, hey, can I pick up a round? It's such a little thing, but it's it's huge for someone like me. That stuck with me, and then
I just want to show some gratitude. I can only imagine the effort that you guys go into on top of your owning your own firms, putting on an event like that. That's out of state. You're hosting a golf day, two in-person conferences, or 2 days. It's just a little bit of gratitude, and I'm a firm believer by showing respect and paying it forward that it comes back to you tenfold. I've been very blessed in my life, and I'm very thankful for all the opportunity I've been given.
Well, and I did appreciate when we were leaving, you might have been a little bit too overserved, but you said Chicago, full territory, no royalties, for free. And I thought that was very kind. Like that's the kindness that's the generosity that I love.
I'm hoping to partner with your firm.
I love it. Well, Sal, thanks for doing this. For everyone watching, again, go to 1851francamp.com. Please register soon. We're filling up Dallas right now. 4 camps this year. Sal, thanks for being a part of this.
Thanks. You guys in Dallas.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Sal. We need a studio.